If you've been watching the vlog for a while, you might recall that earlier this year I made a vlog about some of the flooding that occurred here where I live. So there were some major storms back in January and February, and then as part of that some major flooding. Yeah, pretty major in Auckland, even worse in other parts of the country. But the reason I made that vlog was, well, it was interesting to see. So I will put a link to that, I guess, in the description, so you can check that out and see some of the footage of the flooding that I took, and also what I talked about there. But the main reason was because of the connection between the flow of water, as we see it in the environment, and the flow of energy within our bodies. In particular, the flow of energy in our meridians. So the meridians are some of the major pathways of energy in our body. We use them in acupuncture, we use them in Qigong, of course, as well, that our energy flows through. And they do flow very much like rivers. So in that vlog, I talked about the connection between the kind of damage that can occur sometimes to the flow of energy and how it can be disrupted, and because it had this great visuals of what was going on around me at that time with the flooding and how it was affecting a little river, more of a stream really, that flows around the property that I live on. So this vlog is a little bit of an update because it's like, yeah, it's about 6 months, maybe a bit more than 6 months later, and things have changed a bit. Okay, I'm going to have some other shots that I can show you of this river. And because there's some more parallels to draw about the process of healing up a meridian, improving the flow of energy within our bodies, and what happens with a river. So there's a big contrast around this property here. There's some sections of the river where some people have got in and they have removed logs and dug things out so that now the water is flowing more freely. And you can see that, and you can see how the quality of the water is improving. And so as an analogy, if we've got something that's disrupted our flow of energy, if we get in and dig some things out and clear some things, we can re-establish that healthy flow and improve the quality of our energy. And there's a big contrast between that and some areas where it's still very much blocked. And in these areas, the water really isn't flowing much, and you can see it's just sitting and stagnating. And of course, when the water stagnates, well, things don't live very well in stagnant water, and obviously that's affecting the things in the water, but you can also just feel it, and just there's a sense of the feeling and the energy in the area. It's like, everything's sitting, everything's stagnating. Whereas in the areas where the water's flowing freely, it has a freshness to the energy. We normally associate being next to flowing water with that feeling of freshness. So yeah, there's a real parallel there as well. Sometimes things can block and disrupt our energy, but it can also be cleared, and then that can allow the energy to become healthy again. Now, of course, there's different ways that we can clear those blockages, clear that stagnation. One way you might do that is by working with an acupuncturist who might use needles to dig in there and to make changes in the flow of energy to let things flow more freely. You might also work with someone who has some skill in the application of Qigong in a clinical context, someone who has skill with Qigong healing, and they would work more directly with that flow of energy to get it moving, to get it fresh and healthy again. Or of course, you can also do that with your own Qigong practice. Lots of the practices that we do focus on opening up the flow of energy in the meridians. One really good set of practices for that is the 12 Rivers Qigong practice. And within that practice, there's one movement for each of the main rivers, meridians of energy in our body, to open that up, strengthen the flow, and get that flow nice, healthy, and balanced. So I'll also put a link or two to some videos of that practice if you're interested. Again, in the description below, you can follow along with those if you haven't done them before. And if you're interested in going really deep, really understanding about those practices, we do teach those. At the moment, I'm just teaching those in an in-depth way in the Small Universe Qigong program, which is it's actually a teacher certification program. So it's quite in-depth. It's a 200-hour program. But lots of people do it also just for their own interest and for deepening their own practice. But it's taught at a level where you'll understand the practices well enough that you can teach them if you want to, or you'll know them really well for yourself too. In that program, the Small Universe program, we focus on all of the major flows of energy within our body, within our system. So the flows like in the rivers, the 12 rivers, our acupuncture meridians. Also the flow of energy into our lakes and oceans, so that's the dantian, and then the currents of energy within that. So the ocean currents within our body are the 8 extraordinary meridians. They have quite a different structure, quite a different flow, and so practices for working with those, and then also practices that are much more like, because after that energy circulates, that stored energy circulates, the energy then radiates out into our energy field. So we do some stuff focusing on our energy field. And working with that energy in our energy field is like working with the clouds and rain. So we do practices for that as well. So it's a really interesting program if you want to go deep into them. But again, I will post some links just to videos of the 12 rivers practice if you'd like to just have a try following along with that. In one way or another, hopefully this vlog has been interesting, a little bit of an update to see what's going on here. Some great visual contrast between where the meridians, where the rivers have been cleared and now the water, the energy is flowing freely, versus places where it's still blocked, still stagnant. And that really ties in well to what can sometimes happen within our bodies. Sometimes things get blocked up, but we can clear them and we can bring that healthy flow of energy back through our system. Hope you enjoyed the vlog. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all those good things. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.